This episode of Penn Point starts right now. This episode of Penn Point is brought to you by Midphase. I gotta talk to you. People ask a lot. We did 8 years of bullshit. 8 years of Penn and Teller bullshit. And that's like a lot of shows. It's like 80-something shows. And no commercials, so that's full half hour. We did like 40 hours, 45 hours of bullshits for Showtime. And we called out bullshit on a lot of stuff. And people ask me, is there anything that you called out bullshit on that you believed? Is there anything that, we have a line in that Michael Godot came up with, everybody got their gree-gree, they have something they believe in. And we wanted to do one Penn and Teller bullshit on stuff that we believed so we could bust ourselves. And the closest we really came was the NASA episode, where we kind of busted NASA for being a government agency, even though the space exploration stuff we thought was cool. It was the government stuff and the forcing people, doing that with tax money. But we never really did one. And one of the ones I always suggested, we should have done libertarianism, we should have done atheism. We didn't get to those. But the other one I wanted to do was modern art. I want to do modern music because I'm a huge fan of crazy, nut shit modern music. Both 20th century classical, like Schoenberg and Elbenberg. Love that shit. Eat that shit for breakfast. Feldman, all those guys. Love it. And that might be bullshit, right? And I also wanted to do, I'm also big fans of, crazy jazz music like Sun Ra. And I try to convince myself that every sound you hear on a Sun Ra record is exactly the way Sun Ra wanted it. And, that might be bullshit. Some of it might be just making noise. And in the more rock and roll realm, I'm a huge fan of Half Japanese. And I know Jad Fair and David Fair, and I love them. I think David Fair is the best dancer in rock and roll on stage. It might be that he's my size, and I love the way he moves, but I love David Fair. But, I try to think that all that music is pure and wonderful and intellectual, and it's possibly some of the time they're just banging on shit. I don't know. So I'm going to do a bullshit on that and really dig into it. We never got to it because we quit bullshit before we got to it. Moved on to the Disco Channel, Discovery, which will be coming up. But the other one I want to do is modern art, because I look at painters and I really love modern art. And I will argue, that there's real, you don't have to be Vermeer, which is a whole other issue. We're doing a movie about Vermeer, but it's top secret. So I won't even go into Vermeer. But Rembrandt, and Da Vinci, and I guess you say Leonardo, because Da Vinci was where he's from. Or Vinci was where he's from. Is that right? I don't know. Then there's the modern painters, and one of them is Jackson Pollock. And I've had arguments about the validity of Jackson Pollock. I felt that that I could defend completely Jackson Pollock is not just being, spilling paint on stuff. And there's this nut friend of mine who's wonderful and seems to know everything, Michael Flores, who's great. He's a Chicago cat. And he says that the CIA during the Cold War helped pump up modern art as a propaganda tool against the Russians. Look that up. But anyway, so I've defended modern art. So my son just turned 5 years old. His name is Z. We call him Z. His name is Zoltan Penn Jillette. That's my name for his middle name. And they're doing a Jackson Pollock thing for 5-year-olds. So they're giving all these 5-year-olds a chance to paint like Jackson Pollock, to do action paintings like Jackson Pollock, And I told the teacher that Jackson Pollock's friends and acquaintances, to make fun of him, called him Jack the Dripper. And he didn't like that. But they taught the children that he was called Jack the Dripper, which I thought was cool, especially since I might have made it up. I don't know. I think I remember reading it somewhere. Anyway, Jack the Dripper. I've argued about this. So my son gets to do his Jackson Pollock painting tomorrow, so he has to wear old clothes instead of his, tight-ass school uniform from the fancy-ass private school he goes to. He's going to wear old clothes because he's going to do a Jackson Pollock painting. But some of the other children have already done them. And they are up in the waiting room where me and the MILFs wait for our children to be ready to pick them up after school. And I stand there, you know, waiting for the MILFs to turn around so I can stare at their asses. And then when they turn around and catch me, I try to make conversation about how nice it is that their children are in school with my child. And the Jackson Pollock paintings are up there. I mean, the children's Jackson Pollock paintings. I can't tell the 5-year-old's Jackson Pollock paintings from the real fucking Jackson Pollock paintings. All the arguments that I've made about how great Jackson Pollock is, maybe, possibly, could be bullshit. So what are we clinging on to here? We're clinging on to the fact that he got the idea of making it, and making the first one, like Andy Warhol did the soup can, and that has a conceptual idea, and then making a soup can after that is not a big deal, but the first idea is genius, right? Right? So the idea is spilling paint all over a canvas. The original idea is what was genius, right? It's not the fact that, or maybe it's I can't differentiate the genius of Jackson Pollock from a 5-year-old, but the 5-year-old's Jackson Pollock paintings, they looked just the same as the real Jackson Pollocks to me. So I'm not actually saying that modern art is bullshit. I'm just saying that maybe when I was talking about defending it, I was bullshitting. And the other people that defend it, they may have a really good point. But me, I'll tell you, the 5-year-old Jackson Pollock, it looked good. It's a nice hat, isn't it? Midphase has been providing simple, smart, reliable web hosting since 2003. Featuring unlimited disk space and bandwidth with an exclusive discount, 6 months free for Penn Point viewers. 24/7 premium support via phone, live chat, and email. Free website builder and simple installs of WordPress, Drupal, and Joomla. $100 worth of search engine credits from Google and Yahoo. Visit www.midphase.com/Penn to get 6 free months web hosting through this exclusive Penn Point offer.